Guys, my name is Tim Rustwick, and today I wanted to talk about games as a service, where the industry's heading, and kind of what it means for indie developers, at least what I think it means. So, if you've been following gaming news, you probably heard that yesterday on the investor call for Ubisoft, they talked a lot about games as a service, and they actually went as far as to say that that is the future of what they're doing. And the slide that's making rounds in Twitter and Reddit and a bunch of different places is this one right here. Basically, they showed their sales by year, but then they showed traditional games versus live games. And basically, the difference between these are games like Destiny, or games that are live as a service and continually get updated over time. And these games have DLCs, they have microtransactions, they're constantly updated, and it seems like the entire industry is going that way, but Ubisoft really confirmed that with this slide and what they said in the investor call. And it's interesting when you look at it like that, because it does make more sense, right? It makes more money for game developers to put all of their effort into a game, keep people playing that game, and then have microtransactions or content updates or whatever over the long term. Certainly, Bungie did this with Destiny. I played Destiny for 3 years. I bought the initial game, I bought the season pass for the first 2 DLCs, I bought the third major DLC, and I bought the fourth DLC after that, and I kept playing. I even spent some money on microtransactions in that game, because I would prefer to put it into something that I loved rather than just continually buy new games. And we're seeing this all over the industry right now. All of the AAA companies seem to be aiming towards games as a service. And it's really interesting. I mean, it makes total sense. It's more profitable that way. And I think that really opens up an opportunity for indie developers to kind of take that by the horns and really make something awesome. Because yes, live games make way more money, and that means that all of AAA is going to really focus on these live games. And I personally think that's a really good thing. I think that's fantastic from the indie perspective, because I think that means as indie game developers, we can focus on some of the things that are important to us, some of the single player experiences, some of the, roguelikes type of games, some of the more unique single mechanic games and stuff like that. And I really, really believe that this is a good thing. Another thing they brought up was this slide right here. And they said that in 2005, there was 13 big publishers that released titles every year, and now there's only 4. And what they're basically saying is, right here it says, their ideal customer is the guy who buys the service games digitally and then keeps playing them. And it's really interesting to me, because these are the companies that continually release every single year. These are the companies that we all know about, we've all heard about. This one maybe doesn't have the best track record right now, but all of these guys have been in some trouble for pushing out buggy games or overdoing it on the microtransactions. Maybe not Take-Two. Maybe they're the outlier here, because I believe the only thing they really make is NBA. Could be wrong on that. But these guys definitely have been under fire. Ubisoft has had huge stuff about putting out buggy games. EA, the recent Battlefront 2 and all that stuff has been under fire. Destiny definitely got hit hard. Destiny 2 with some of the stuff that they pushed out, just stuff that's not finished. And it's interesting to see the industry go like this. It's interesting to see that they are so focused on live games that they are literally pushing stuff out that's not finished, just because they plan on updating it over time. They plan on supporting the game for 2-3 years sometimes. And it's great from a gameplay perspective, but now we know that it actually is sustainable as a business model from their own admission, and we know that it makes money for them. And I mean, of course, microtransactions make money, but it's a little surprising to hear that they make so much money that it's more profitable to put out less games as a service, less live games, than continually pump out traditional games. And as the industry kind of shifts to these live games, we have, a lot of its stuff is coming up with the live games. We've got like Overwatch is a perfect example of a live game. It's continually updated. We've got all kinds of stuff down the pipeline. And I think it's a huge opportunity for indies. I think it's a huge, really space that I think is going to be underpopulated. And people always say like indie apocalypse or shit's crazy or you can't sell indie games anymore. And I think there are a lot of shit games out there. Let's just be real. There's a lot of really bad games out on the market. I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think it makes it harder to get discovered. And I have a whole video on indie apocalypse, but I think it makes it harder to get discovered, but I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think that means that you have control over discoverability. I think that you have the power to do the marketing. And a lot of these people that make bad games, they don't actually market their games. They don't actually push their stuff out. They just make the bad games. So you have an opportunity to not only fill a gap in the market left by the AAAs, but also rise above some of the other stuff in the market that may not be the best out there. And I think as indies, I'm not saying that we can't build live games or games as a service. We certainly can. It just takes a lot of technical work. And we see this in the mobile market too. Like a lot of games now are going free to play. They're looking at the game over a longer lifespan. They're constantly updating the game, adding new microtransactions, adding new ways to monetize, trying to build the player base, trying to keep up retention. And I think that's good. So, the trend overall is to update games longer, make games better, make games work better with services like, Google Play or the App Store or even Steam, where you can continually update stuff. But I think it's less prevalent on Steam. And then you have AAA saying, this is where the money's at. That's where they're shifting. So I think it's good for multiple reasons. I think, one, it opens up a gap in the market for indies. Two, I think it's an additional monetization model that you can look at if you are interested in something like this. If you're interested in building maybe one game, like really focusing your efforts and getting a monthly recurring revenue or something like that from the game that you're working on constantly. That's certainly different than push out a game, make a bunch of money, push out a game, make a bunch of money. That has been the model for many, many years, and it's interesting to kind of see this shift. So something to be aware of. If you're in the mobile market, this is especially prevalent. I think it's especially important. If you are able to create a good game, that can be, your revenue forever. If you look at something like Color Switch did so well that the developer was not only able to continually update it, he had someone completely rewrite it from scratch for performance. They continually updated and added new patches to stuff all the time, constantly changing and iterating and making the monetization better and making it stick longer and all that stuff. And then on top of that, he's now launched a publishing company with all of the users from Color Switch to kind of push out to multiple different games. And that's what happens when you have a successful game. You have all these eyeballs that you can then, push to different places. And I think live games do that better than anyone else. They definitely do it better than single player experiences. They definitely do it better than, just buy and then play type of games. Live games that are continually updated definitely hold their player base better. And as a result, they can monetize more and you have more opportunity, So if you make a good game, if you focus on the game and you decide to go this route, I think it's awesome. I think you can make a lot of money, but you got to start with that good core product. And if you don't want to go this way, I think it's good too, because I feel like there's going to be a gap in the market with the traditional games pretty soon based on AAA. So those are kind of my thoughts on it. It was interesting to kind of hear on the Ubisoft call. I wasn't on the call, but this news is all over the place past couple days, past day or so for this specifically. But I've been seeing this on Twitter. I've been seeing this on Reddit, and it's just kind of interesting. We all knew that was that way. Ever since I played Destiny, I knew that as a player, a live game is what I really want. I want to take my time. I want to invest it in something for the longer term, even if it's going to cost me more money. Like Destiny, over its lifespan, I bought Destiny 1 for the Xbox 360 plus the season pass. That was $100. Then I bought Taken King. That was $40. Then I bought all of that over again for Xbox One. That was another. I bought the collector's edition, all of that it came all in one package. That was $60. And on top of that, Rise of Iron I think was $30. So I spent a lot of money over that 3 years. You know, a lot more than $60 on what a game would cost normally. And then I think I might have put like $10 into microtransaction or something like that. So I can't math whatever that comes out to, but I mean, I did spend a lot of money there, and AAA knows that. And as a player, I don't feel ripped off at all. I feel like that was a fantastic investment for the time that I spent with the game. And it makes sense that this is where the industry is going. So that's all I got for you today. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please leave me a like and a comment down below. What do you guys think of this? What do you think about live games? Do you feel like they're the future? Do you agree with what I said, that this could be a gap in the market? Or do you feel like everybody should go this way and go this route and do this? So let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. But once again, my name is Tim Ruswick, and I'll see you again tomorrow.